Hi, chat. Hi. I think the microphone sounds okay, but if it doesn't, please tell me. Oh, I just put on. I have my little screen over there. My little screen over there, and it tells me all like the stuff that's going on. And I had delay on it, and I was like moving, and I was like, oh my god, thank you, Mars. Thank you. Well, Nico. Hi, Nico. Hi. Does the microphone sound okay? I thought that said happy partner anniversary. I was like, something's wrong there. It's Hiccup Sunday. Does the microphone sound okay? Oh, now music. Yeah, exactly, guys. It's really weird hearing it, because I've got AirPods now. Well, I have AirPods for this now. So I can hear the music. This is, like, cringy dancing. No. I'm kidding. It's so distracting. Can I... Tell me... Oh, there we go, I turned it way down. Oh, my ears. I have been away for 2 months. My last stream was titled, I am back to streaming. Might have been a bit premature there. Might have been a bit premature. But, no, I'm not even going to jinx it this time. Who knows if I'll be back to streaming. This is water. Don't know what else it would be. I've got the Style by Smooth poster behind me. I've got... One sec. Can I get this in frame? I've got a microscope behind me. This is so heavy. I've got a lovely microscope, guys. Mr. Microscope, what do you have to say? It's like, it's like, what have I got in my bag today? 2 chargers, well, 2 power banks. Just in case, because I'm streaming off my phone right now. But equally, do you want to see something cool, guys? Are you ready for some cinema? Are you ready for, like, the absolute... Why not? Look what I can do. I've got a stream deck, so I can now go 2 angles. It's not regular quality, the other one. This... the music is changing over. I was like... Hi, guys. I look so desaturated. Guys, I'm trapped in a black and white world. In a world where being straight, in a world where being gay is the norm. No. I was about to say in a world where being straight is the norm, but that is the norm, sadly. I know. This is my phone. Wait, I can. Wait. I know, they trapped me in straight line, guys. Render delay. I don't know what half these buttons do. Such a good streamer, I know. Like, what does this shit do? Color key? It'd be really funny where this go like... Never mind, that's not how it works. I don't really know what I'm doing. Well, I know what I'm doing, I'm streaming. But I was trying to do, like, as a joke, I was trying to... Does this work? No. Never mind. I was trying to go, like, black and white as a joke. But I don't know how to do this. It's probably in color settings or something. Ooh, wait, maybe it's this. Hi, Lily Desk. Deek. Sorry. I was like, I thought I said desk. Hi. I need like a little like :3 above my head. So it's like, hi. It's really blur. Wait, I've got an idea. If I go to angle 2, oh. It's so blurry. Yeah, no, that's too blurry, guys. Have I got any story times? Is there different music? I think I removed all the ones that got me DMCA'd. Hi, Harry Stinky Toes. That's a great name. Oh, sorry, guys. Wait, sorry, one sec. Sorry. It disables. There we go. Huh. Wait, guys. When everyone is back, I will show something cool to make up for it. Is everyone back? I can't tell. Wait, is everyone back? I was gonna show you something cool. One sec. How do I do this? I know. I have got the Neha art over there. I don't know though. I don't own that wall. I am not hammering into the wall. It's just like me like bang, bang, bang. And they're like, what did you do? And I'm like, I want to have Neha art on my wall. How do I do this? Game and app capture. Window capture. Look. Where's my face gone? Like, since streaming last, I have... Oh! Since streaming last, I have got... Since streaming last, I've now got a website. I now own hiccupalot.com. Hiccupalot.com. Yeah. They were like, do you want to add hiccupalot.net and the hiccupalot. Whatever? And I'm like, for free? No. All this yeah, my website looks a lot more fancy now. I've also got personal.hiccupalot.com. So yeah. That's always fun. This music's really... I want something like more energetic. This seems perfect. I can't tell. No, the mic's not peaking. I always worry it's peaking and I'm like, well, I can't hear this. because I do not want to hear myself be back. Like, that sounds awful. I don't know how anyone would be able to stream like that. So how's everyone been? How's everyone been recently? That's something I haven't asked. How's everyone been? Did I tweet? I didn't tweet. Oops. My bad. I've been procrastinating. So have I. Guess who's been procrastinating? I always get like the me if I was a quiet bird. You're cleaning shelves while listening. I love a good shelf clean. It's like, it's so satisfying, especially like if you've got like a clove of books. It's like you take them out, you wipe the shelf, and then you reorder them. I used to spend hours doing that as a child, just like cleaning my shelves and then reordering my books, like in the perfect order. I might have had something. Autism. No. I'm totally neurotypical, guys. Guys, who are neurotypical? Not me. This song kind of groovy. Ew, why did I say groovy? I sound like... so many... I haven't used this playlist in so long. Lies. I completely plagiarized this music from Maxi G's. Just took his playlist and edited it a bit. And I am so glad I did that, because I would not be able to find my own music. You've never lied ever. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Oh my god, pre-rolls are off for another 24 minutes. But if you run pre-rolls, I'll be really sad. I hate running ads. Guys. What? I don't like pre-rolls. I don't like ads. Wait, is it what? Why I don't like running ads, or why our pre-rolls off? I'm confused. My stream health is really good. I am sitting at... Oh. I'm sitting at 21,000 bitrate. Oh. Yeah, that's been delayed. Yeah, I'm sitting at 21,000 bitrate, guys. 21,000 bytes a second are rushing at my PC and bringing you me live. Whoa. What is... I need new music. I was doing karaoke last time on stream, I think. Karaoke was quite fun. The VOD didn't appreciate it though. How? I have not been streaming. How have you been following me for 3 years? I haven't been streaming that long. I've been streaming for a year. Today. Well, it's my affiliate anniversary, so it's technically a week before today. But were you just following me for the like laughs? You were just like, I was like, yeah, I don't remember seeing you follow, but it says you're followed. I'm like, yeah, you followed in 2022. That's so funny. I would do karaoke, but like, do I do karaoke now? Is the question. And I don't know what to sing. Why do I sound bad? No, I'm overthinking this. Hiccup the chronic overthinker. You lucked out. You lucked out because I did stream. Wow. Inconsistently, but I do stream. Wait, alright. Enjoy dinner. That's so funny though. You were just like, you were like pre-ordering my streams. You were like, wait out, I'd like this in a few years. But yeah, I mean, I love streaming. Well, it's tiring, but I love doing it. Wait, oh, I thought everything went offline. No, never mind. We are still live. Let's go live to Ollie Williams. That TikTok audio. Oh my god, it's not focusing. It doesn't autofocus very well. It's like, hi. Wait, oh my god, yay, pre-rolls are off. I keep saying pre-rolls are off, like, I'm just worried that pre-rolls will go on, and I'm like, what did the pre-rolls go on? We can do karaoke at some point. I'm just not sure when to do it. Because, like, I don't want to scare everyone away. I also don't know what to sing. Need some good music. This one. Keep staying hydrated, guys. Remember to stay hydrated. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is so... Oh, it said I wasn't streaming and I was like... Oh no, but it's just a bug. Oh no, it's just a bug. It's just my OBS is bugged. There we go. Got there in the end. I still can't believe, like... TwitchCon was nearly a year ago. I wonder what they're doing this year. Will they do it? Let's hope they've improved. Guys, on my desk, I've got a power bank. I've got another power bank. I've got a no, I haven't. I lied. I just lied. Liar, liar. Yeah, the liar is me. I am a complete and utter liar. Well, I don't lie about everything. I just lie when it's funny. Like about how many power banks I've got. I've got 2. Or is this the third one? No, it's the second one. This is my first one. I think it's still got power. Imagine it didn't. That'd be bad. Should do. Does it? Oh my god, do I have any fun TwitchCon stories? Ooh, that's a shout. I went to TwitchCon. I met a lot of people there. I always go around with the same group of people because it's like, hey, friends. And also it's a bit scary going around on your own. When I went to TwitchCon EU, I met a lot of people. I met Austin, or Yeah Absolutely, as you might know them. I met Maxi G's. I met Johnny, and in which we took this famous picture. This would be a lot more funny if I could get it up quickly. Give me a sec. So we took this picture. We took... Never mind. I can't find it. Well, I can find it, but it won't come up. But we took a photo. I also met Smidge. Smidge is awesome. Smidge. Yay! I can't remember who else I met. I met Amesy. I went to Amesy's meet and greet. That's always fun. There wasn't much there last year. Yeah, it was awesome! Did you ever go to TwitchCon? I don't know if you went to any of the ones recently. But I know one of them was certainly less chaotic than the other ones, or less... Like, one of them was a lot better run. And that was TwitchCon EU, at least. It always feels like... It always feels way more, like, less professional holding the mic. But I just don't want to buy a mic stand, guys. You caught me, guys. Yeah. TwitchCon US looked like a... Oh, wow, yeah. That would be quite a way. It would be like half the price to be getting there. No, more than that, actually. Well, that's cool. Well, not cool that you can't go, but I mean cool that you're from North Africa. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where most of my viewers are from. I can look. Analytics. Unless it doesn't say. Does it say what? No, it's kind of off at the minute. But yeah, I was like, most of my viewers I think are from the UK, obviously. I've gone international, guys. I've made it. She has made it. I've gone... I was going to say cross-country, and then cross-worldy. That's not a word. Cross-whatever. Cross-sea. I've gone across the sea. Which is kind of cool. It's weird to think, like, there are people here. Like, I've met people through streaming who... No one... Like, if you'd gone, like, hundreds of years ago, you would never meet someone from that country, probably. Like, on the chances of you meeting someone from that country would be so slim, because you wouldn't have a way of being heard. And it's like, that's such a weird thought. Like, in the age we live in, like, we've probably been perceived more in human history, more than any time in human history even. But I don't know why I got philosophical there. My bad. Oh my god, look, it's like a little butterfly. It's flapping its wings. Did I tweet? Did I tweet? I did tweet. That's good. No. It's that I just broadcast myself and I'm like, that's cool. Like, 100 people saw my recent video and it's like, I mean, that's cool, but you don't really process, like, that's 100 people. Like, that's like a lot, that's like an event. You could, like, have an event of 100 people. We're just being, like, that's just, like, a number that you see and you're like, oh. But then if you get 100 people in a room, you're like, that's a lot. Because I know at university, it's like, 100 people, that's like a lot of people, but, like, no, there's not like 100 people at my uni. I'm not saying how many people are at my uni, because I don't want to dox myself. But, like, that's a weird thought, like, you could get, like, 100 people in a room on campus. Yeah, exactly. Don't stare at me. No one stare at me. Everyone, like, has to, like, everyone has to, like, look above me. I performed in crowds in real life, but it always feels a lot different. Like, knowing, like, oh, let's say 10 people are watching me, it feels a lot different than 10 people are looking at you in real life. Because none of you can see me. Well, wait, no, you can see me, I can't see you. Which makes it a lot less scary. Well, scary, but, like, a lot less intimidating, let's say. Triangles. Whoa. Oh yeah, I just got... Give me a sec. Oh, my papers just fell. Fine. I just got a microscope here. Why did it knock something? I've got a microscope. Hi, Mr. Microscope. What? Yeah, exactly. Hi, Microscope. Hi. How are you, Microscope? I'm good, thank you. You gonna dance? Yes. Aw. Let's say thank you to Mr. Microscope. I think I dropped some glass on the floor. I'll deal with that later. Microscopes! I love my microscope. It's Baba. Oh. What? It's like I opened the slide and it was like my entire face lit up. Like, how much battery has this got? Oh, it's got enough. I just want to keep it on charge in case. I don't know. I don't want it to run out. And now it means I can stream as long as I want. I could stream for 10 hours. I'm not streaming for 10 hours. I've got stuff to do tomorrow. That'd be... It's like weird hearing the music vaguely. Like just out the corner of my eye. Ear. Not eye. Corner of my eye, yeah. My eyes are how I hear things. What am I studying? I am studying biochemistry. Which is like the science of what goes on inside of people, like the immune system a bit. It's a bit like of everything. Bit of a smorgasbord, if you will. What about you, if you're comfortable? That's cool. So you want to go to be a doctor, I'm guessing. I think that's what med students are. Yeah, similar though. Like similar line of study. Quite an overview. Why does the music like cut so dramatically? The music. That's so cool. Like that's so cool. Surgery here, like they get a pretty good job. I don't know what I want to do. I haven't got a clue. I want to do something. Something that's helpful, at least. I want to help people. I want to be a cowboy. Hey, I remember you from Jess Mellow's chat, actually. I remember your messages. Not all of them, but I remember your, like, username. I've got the mod brain. All my usernames are stored in rows. Hi, Nico. I love the hi emote. It's my favourite emote, I think. It's so like Baba. Like, wait, it's mirrored. Oh, Baba. I've got 1 power bank. 2 power banks. 3 power bank. Oh no, I lied. I already used that bit. I'm gonna reuse it. My school. Don't send your school ID, please. Please don't send your ID. I'm the only mod. Well, I am the mod of my own chat. Yeah, if you send your ID, I have to, like, deal with it myself. Thanks. I haven't got mods. Now people are like, gonna come in and see something crazy. Now I've got a button to do emergency mode. So no one do anything naughty. No, no, no. Wait, I can't do the tis. Wait. Yeah, that was bad. That was really bad. It's like, no, no, no. I want to do like, you know, emote, like the no. I am the mod of the people. I am the like the socialist mod. They give me as to everyone to mod. I am the result of socialism where I mod for everyone for free. Absolutely, that's not what socialism. I know it isn't. I've read. Wait, no, I know it. I've read. Not Das Kapital, the other one. Hiccup, they need to... No, don't fruit me. Mod of the year will go Hiccup. Thanks, guys. Thank you. I'd like to thank the people who modded me. I'd like to thank the people who didn't unmod me. I'd like to thank the people who let me keep my position for this award. That sounds like direct. It's not direct to anyone. I just more meant like people let me stay as their mod because I'm still their mod. It sounded like I was like, you in particular. I don't thank. I hit my table. I was like, it sounded like I was going like, you in particular. I don't thank you. No, it wasn't unintentional. Is this one right? No, I don't want to open like. I don't want to open a video. There we go. Everyone mod Hiccup right now. I just get like a billion notifications. You are now modding. And it's like I have to spend 24 hours modding now. I have like 4 monitors open. All on like 18 different people. Maker the new. True! Now you're getting the idea. You are getting the idea. Had some go pass. Imagine someone just go like. No one's gonna knock. I am the one who knocks. What's that from? I am the one who knocks. What's that from? I'm blanking. I am the one who knocks. It's from something. I want to Google it, but like it's beneath my camera's on top of my keyboard. Whoa. It's 5:33. Oh, do I have to run another ad? I got 4 minutes of pre-rolls. I had to run another ad. Sorry, guys. Oh wait, you don't get ads. That's awesome. You just like dodge it. Now 53 seconds left of the ads. One of these days I should do like gaming streams. Gaming. Makes me sound like a grandma, like, I want to do a gaming stream. You are the chosen one. Some people have to pay for that privilege. I remember this game. Back in my day. I always played City Folk on my Wii. I was scraping the streets, cleaning them down. I went round the town. I was playing with my ass. In it, bruv. No. You are the chosen one. Oh my god, welcome back, ad watchers. I've got so many things on my sidebar. It's like I have like so many different music. Hi. There are so many different. I should do karaoke, but I'm scared. I'm so bad. I saw someone make a performative male OC. And I promise I'm not exaggerating when I said he genuinely looks like. Wow. That's like. It's like. Do you think? Wait, was it intentional? Was it intentional? Was it not intentional? It's a real question. Oh my god. That's even better. The fact it's just not intentional. That's karaoke. The karaoke button is... Karaoke button, I'm lying. The button that would let me do karaoke is staring me in the face and I'm like... Do I do it? Wait. How do you even do... Oh, it does work. It does work. Like, it's not just like a thing with your eyes. Like, where you can go like... But it looks like they're not moving on there. Duh, because it's my eyes, but... Always... I should do it. Karaoke's calling me. Karaoke is calling me. Wait, what was I doing? Okay, wait. How do I do this? Alright, guys. We've got any song on YouTube. Within reason. Please don't like choose like... I don't know. I was gonna say like this song, but like... I don't know what songs I can do. Any song anyone fancies in chat? Any Miko song ever? Wait, is it in English? If it's not in English or French, I can't. If it's not in English or French, I can't like sing because I don't know that language. Yeah. Alright, go on then. Any recommendations? Yeah, do we have any recommendations? Homesick. Bit quiet. Is there like a me? Surely there's karaoke. I know this song. There isn't, but oh, my weekend. Okay. It's a feeling, and more like a rush. I'm actually. I'm noticing something. If I don't know the song, I can't do the karaoke, I'm afraid. I haven't got that skill yet, I'm afraid. I'm sorry. We can listen to it, but I can't really do karaoke. I'll have to like study the song for next time. Lady Gaga. Okay, wait. Lady Gaga. Karaoke. Oh wait, karaoke won't come up with it. Well, it might. What song do you want me to do? It's up to you. Wait, it's up to you. This is the question. What song will it be? Waiting. There's Bad Romance. There is Shallow. There is. Here we go. Wait, here we go. Thinking. I am way too indecisive. Same. It's Paparazzi, Abracadabra, Bad Romance. I think that's the options. Oh, and there's a parrot playlist. There's Born This Way, there's Paparazzi, there's The Edge of Glory, there's Applause, there's Judas, Paparazzi. Okay. I don't even say it anymore. I need to move this. We are the crowd, we're coming out. Got my flash on, it's true. Need that picture of you, it's so magical. We be so fat. Wait, does it cuts out when I like hold a note, doesn't it? We be so fantastic. No, it doesn't. Yay! We be leather and dreams, crush camera. Not sure what it means, but the photo of us, it don't have a price. Thank you, Maddis Bench. Hi, everybody. My friend. Hi. We're doing Paparazzi on karaoke. Me when I'm your biggest fan. No, I'm your biggest fan. Cool. No, because that's me. Karaoke time. If I go back like half a second. Oh my god, happy 15-minute break. Thank you for choosing to spend it with. It don't have a price. Ready for those flashing lights. Cause you know that baby I'm your biggest fan. I'll follow you until you love me. Paparazzi. Baby, there's no other superstar. You know that I'll be your paparazzi. Promise I'll be kind. But I won't stop until that girl is mine. I don't want to sing about boy. Ooh, boys. Ooh, boys. Ooh, boys tickle cookies. Ew. Lesbianism, yes. I love lesbians. Let's go, lesbians. Oh, dang it. Oh, dang it. No. It's always, yay! Let's go, lesbians. Why didn't it unpause? Baby, you'll be famous, chase you down until you love me. Papa, paparazzi. I'll be your girl, backstage at your show, velvet ropes and guitar. Yeah, 'cause you're my rock star in between the set. Eyeliner and cigarette. Shadow is burnt, yellow dance and we turn. My lashes are dry, people I drop. Purple teardrops I cry, it don't have a price. Loving you is cherry pie. 'Cause you know that baby I'm the weakest fan. I'll follow you until you love me. Papa, paparazzi. Baby, there's no other superstar. You know that I'll be. Papa, paparazzi. Promise I'll be kind. But I won't stop till that boy is mine. Go, 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 go. Ooh. Baby, you'll be famous. Chase you down until you love me. Papa, paparazzi. Real good. We dance in the studio. Snap, snap to that shit on the radio. Don't stop for anyone. Why is this tune change? But we're having fun. I'm your biggest fan. I'll follow you until you love me. Papa, paparazzi. Baby, there's no other superstar. You know that I'll be your papa, paparazzi. Promise I'll be kind. But I won't stop until that boy is mine. Baby, you'll be famous, chase you down until you love me. Papa, paparazzi. Do we have any more requests? Maybe Maddest Bench, considering they have to go soon. Pause. Pause. Oh. Gone quiet. It went quiet there and I was like, I forgot that it was going to skip. And I don't know what song we'll play next. It'll be like some other Lady Gaga song, probably. I hear people outside. It's pretty ominous hearing people outside. Let's go, lesbians! Yay! Ding. Ding. Gambling is bad. Be gamble aware today. I am not sponsored by any gambling company, nor will I take sponsorships from a gambling company. Be gamble aware. Any requests, anyone from chat? Do we have any? Ooh. It's always really disconcerting when OBS closes and it's like, I just see like myself like 5 seconds early. And it's like, whoa, I'm moving. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Any requests? How about you do your favorite? True. I could just do something like Maybe This Time from Cabaret. That's a song I can sing. Because I've done it before. Wait. I was like, I already have a sip of water. Maybe this time I'll be lucky. Maybe this time she'll stay. Maybe this time, for the first time, love won't hurry away. She will hold me fast. I'll be home at last. Not a loser anymore, like the last time and the time before. Everybody loves a winner, so nobody loves me. Lady peaceful, lady happy, that's what I long to be. All the odds are in my favor. Something's bound to begin. It's gotta happen sometimes. Maybe this time I'll win. Everybody loves a winner, so nobody loved me. Lady peaceful, lady happy, that's what I long to be. All the odds are my favor. Something's bound to begin. It's gonna happen sometime. Maybe this time. Maybe this time. Oh. My mic cut out. My mic cut out. I hope I don't too long. It has noise cancellation on it, so it's like I was just like, nah, that's just background noise. I don't know that one. Thank you. I like doing the vocal riffs. Wait, I should be Poor Unfortunate Souls. This could be cinema. Music. Why is it one line? Oh no, it's not. I admit that in the past I've been nasty. They weren't calling when they called me, well, a witch. But you'll find that nowadays I've mended all my ways. Repented, seen the light and made a switch. True, yes. And I fortunately know a little magic. It's a talent that I always have possessed. And here lately, please don't laugh, I use it on behalf of the miserable, the lonely, and depressed. Pathetic. Those unfortunate souls in pain, in need. This one's longing to be thinner, that one wants to get the girl, and do I help them? Yes, indeed. Those poor unfortunate souls, so sad, so true. They come flocking to my coat and crying, spells, Ursula, please. And do I help them? Yes, I do. Now, it's happened once or twice. Someone couldn't pay the price, and I'm afraid I had to rake 'em across the coals. Yes, I've had the odd complaint, but on the whole, I've been a saint to those poor unfortunate souls. Can you tell that I was a kid? Yeah. There is no, like... Can you tell I feel like I was a theatre kid? Yeah. Oh. This is just, like, the, like, speech part. The men up there, they don't like a lot of blabber. They think a girl who gossips is a bore. Yes, on land it's much preferred for ladies not to say a word. After all, dear, what is idle prattle for? Come on, those... They're not all that impressed with conversation. True gentlemen avoid it when they can. But they will dote and swoon and fawn on a lady who's withdrawn. And she's... Oh, come on, you... Poor unfortunate souls! Go ahead. Make your choice. I'm a very busy woman. I haven't got all day, and it won't cost much. Just your voice. You poor unfortunate souls! It's sad, but true. If you want to cross a bridge, my sweet, you've got to pay the toll and take a gulp and take a deep breath and go ahead and sign the scroll. Flotsam, jetsam, now I've got a boy, so bosses on a roll. You poor unfortunate soul. What did you think? What do we all think? Well, I can't actually see the... Shall I do some Hamilton? Does anyone here like Hamilton? They need to hire you. Who? Who is they? Does anyone in chat? Yeah, you like Hamilton? Go on then. For you. Oh, I accidentally pressed something. Disney, thank you. Wait, I didn't take a drink of water. Why is it so quick? You say the price of my love's not a price that you're willing to pay. You cry in your tea what you hurl in the sea when you see me go by. Why so sad? Remember we made an arrangement when you went away. Now you're making me mad. Remember, despite our estrangement, I'm your woman. You'll be back. Soon you see. You'll remember you belong to me. You'll be back. Time will tell. You'll remember that I served you well. Oceans rise, empires fall. We have seen each other through it all. And when push comes to shove, I will send a fully armed battalion to remind you of my love. La 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 da 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 ya ya da 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 ya ya da 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 da. You say our love is draining and you can't go on. You'll be the one complaining when I am gone. And no, don't change the subject, 'cause you're my favorite subject. My sweet subject. My loyal subject. Forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. You'll be back like before. I will fight the fight and win the war. For your love, for your praise, and I'll love you till my days. When you're gone, I'll go mad. So don't throw away this thing we had. 'Cause when push comes to shove, I will kill your friends and family to remind you of my love. Da 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 da. Da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 da. Everybody. Da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 da. There we go, that was Hamilton. There are so many good ones. Guys, do I be brave and do I do Phantom of the Opera and do both parts? You know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna be brave. And I'll have that on the internet, even if no, actually, no, I shouldn't. I shouldn't, no. People, like, post it and make fun of me. Like, I'm sensitive. The winner takes it all. From Mamma Mia, from ABBA. I don't want to talk about things we got. Whoa, 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 whoa! I just moved pretty fast. Yeah, I'm not comfortable, I'm afraid. I'm gonna do Mamma Mia. I don't want to talk about things we've gone through, though it's hurting me. Now it's history. I've played all my cards, and that's what you've done too. No more ace to say, no more ace to play. The winner takes it. Why can't I sing that? I'm gonna do cabaret karaoke. I feel like I need a bit of musical theatre. I need a bit more musical theatre, I don't know. I'm in that musical theatre, like... Go on, I'll do cabaret. Are we sat comfortably? I hope we're all sat very comfy. What good is sitting alone in your room? Come hear the music play. Life is a cabaret, old chum. Come to the cabaret. Put down the knitting, the book and the broom. Time for a holiday. Life is a cabaret, old chum. Come to the cabaret. Come taste the wine. Come hear the band. Come blow a horn, start celebrating. Right this way, your table's waiting. No use permitting some prophet of doom to wipe every smile away. Life is a cabaret, old chum. Come to the cabaret. Why did it cut out? I used to have a girlfriend known as Elsie, with whom I shared 4 sordid rooms in Chelsea. She wasn't what you call a blushing flower. As a matter of fact, she rented by the hour. The day she died, the neighbours came to snicker. Well, that's what comes from too much pills and liquor. But when I saw her laid out like a queen, she was the happiest corpse I'd ever seen. I think of Elsie to this very day. I remember how she turned to me and said, what good is sitting alone in your room? Come here, the music play. Life is a cabaret, old chum. Come to the cabaret. Oh wait, we'll wait for ads to be over. Just because obviously we don't want to like. Wait, wait, there we go. Sorry, I had to send a message. Send a message. It's like I just got out and gone like, "Oi, you." No, not quite. Tell me when you're back, and I will carry on singing. Waiting, waiting. Yay! Alright, we'll come back. I thought he unpaused it. I was like, wait, why's it already unpaused on there? I haven't unpaused it. Come to the cabaret. Put down the knitting, the book and the broom. Time for a holiday. Life is a cabaret, old chum. Come to the cabaret. And as for me, I made my mind up back in Chelsea. When I go, I'm going like Elsie. Stop by admitting from cradle to tomb. Isn't that long a stay? Life is a cabaret, old chum. Only a cabaret, old chum. And I love a cabaret. There you go. That was cabaret, everyone. That was. I love cabaret. Why is it like? I need like a good like. I need like a karaoke playlist. Um, um, um. Uh, we need wait musical karaoke. I'm really in a musical mood today. Wait, let's see. What's on their most popular playlist? Surely there's some musicals on there. Yeah, I'm not singing Let It Go. That wouldn't. There's um yeah, it's not coming up. I wanted like a karaoke of musical songs. You think it would wait, I've gotta go. No. I hope you have a lovely day. If I'm still live, you're always welcome to come back. The leading ladies. That's me. Um, there's like, what is like? Are there any musicals here that everyone would know? Most people won't know Waitress. I heard Waitress the other day. Um, 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 actually, yeah, there's a lot of songs here, and I don't know most of them. Wait, I can do Les Mis. Les Mis. On my own, one day more, stars. I think these are all the ones that people normally do. I dreamed a dream, bring him home on his own. Yeah, these are the ones that everyone normally does, I think. How dull. Do you think they have a musical one? Maybe this time it's their most popular one, obviously. Contemporary Broadway. I can't find anything. Surely they have something new that would be interesting. Upbeat. Surely there's something here. You'll be back. I like the upbeat ones. I like upbeat. There's Candy Store. There is. I'm just like staring. I'm staring for. But these are really sad. Not really upbeat. Other playlists: musical theatre, Mean Girls, Wicked, Emotional. Or there might just be some playlist. What's on here? Got the clip to the heart. That's so loud. What other ones are there? Rolling in the Deep. Mamma Mia. Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit lonely and you're never coming around. Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit tired of listening to the sound of my tears. Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit nervous at the best of all the years have come by. Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit terrified and then I see the look in your eyes. Turn around, bright eyes. Every now and then I fall apart. I can't do both parts. Every now and then I fall apart. And I need you now tonight. And I need you more than ever. And if you only hold me tight, we'll be holding on forever. And we'll. I just really messed up there. I was like, oh, I just like swallowed as I sang. Cause we'll never be wrong. Together we can take it to the end of the line. The love is like a shadow on me all of the time. I don't know what to do and I'm always in the dark. We're living in a powder keg and living off sparks. I really need you tonight. Forever's gonna start tonight. Forever's gonna. Once upon a time, I was falling in love, and now I'm only falling apart. There's nothing I can do. A total eclipse of my heart. Once upon a time, I was lighting my life. And now there's only love in the dark. I think I could do a total eclipse of the heart. Every now and then I fall apart. Every now and then I fall apart. And I need you now tonight. And I need you more than ever. And if you only hold me tight, we'll be holding on forever. And we'll only be making it right. Because we'll never be wrong. Together we can make it to the end of the line. Your love is like a shadow on me all of the time. All of the time. I don't know what to do. I'm always in the dark. We're living in a powder bag and giving off sparks. I really need you tonight. Forever's gonna start tonight. Forever. Once upon a time I was falling in love. Now I'm only falling apart. Nothing I can say, a total eclipse of the heart. Once up. Have I just missed the end of the song? A total eclipse of the heart. I know what to do. The Subway by Chapel Roan. I saw your green hair, beauty mark right next to your mouth. There on the subway, I nearly had a breakdown a few weeks later. Somebody wore your perfume, it almost killed me. I had to leave the room, it's just another day. And it's not over till it's over. It's never over, it's just another day. Why can't I get air? And it's not over till it's over. It's never over till I don't look for you on the staircase. Always said you thought we were still soulmates, but I'm still counting down all of the days till you're just another girl on the subway. Made you the villain, evil for just moving on. I see your shadow, I see it even with the lights off. I made a promise if in 4 months that feeling ain't gone, well fuck this city. I'm moving to Saskatchewan, it's just another day. And it's not over till it's over. Oh, till it's over. It's just another day. And it's not over till it's over. It's never over till I can break routine during foreplay. And trust myself that I won't say your name. But I'm still counting down all of the days till you're just another girl on the subway. She got away. 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 She got away, she got away, and she got away, she got away, she got away. 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 Maybe we should take a break from that and go back to some regularly scheduled programming. Oh, it's gonna be really loud. So how are we? Did we like the karaoke session? My voice went out towards the end, which is a bit bad. Bit embarrassing. Oh, this is like the ending scene song, isn't it? No, it's not. Double karaoke segment. I know. I thought it was the ending soon song. It sounds like the ending soon song at the start. I was like, no, we're not ending just yet. Well, I can retweet my tweet. It's been like an hour. It's been like over an hour. Still live. Retweeted my tweet. Wait, no. It censors tweets with like streaming and live in it, which is annoying. Still yapping. I know. Fuck you, Elon. I hate you, Elon. I hate Elon. Grrr. Cooking Mama. Wait, that is the ending scene song. No, no, no. I was like, no. Bone Throttle. I can zoom in on myself. Wait, I can change lenses. Look. Oh, that's really zoomed in. Oops. That didn't work. I'm not going to mess around with my camera, I don't think. Because I'm going to end up breaking something. And I'll be like, guys, it's broken, please help. Oh my god, I've dropped 0 frames. That's pretty good. Guys, I've still got that 21,000 bit rate. The graph looks a bit spiky though, it's like a porcupine. Ah! Ow! Ow! I'm touching it. Ow! Ow! Nah, I'm kidding, it's not that sharp though, don't worry. Cinema! Yeah guys, you can tell I was an actor. Hey, I've got a W stream bet. I've got a W stream bet. I've got a W stream bet. I got a W stream bet. I got a W stream bet. Try and get myself one Akinator. Oh. Bit laggy. Is it lagging? Yeah, it's a bit laggy. Let's turn on sensitive content filter. I don't want it asking me weird questions. Has it stopped lagging now? Yeah, kind of. Alright, I'm going to try and get myself an Akinator. Oh, it's a bit laggy. Mind if I close some more things? I think that should be fine. Is your character real? Yeah. A girl? Yeah. Personally know me? No. Because otherwise it doesn't think it thinks I'm making up someone. A singer? Probably. In an all-girl band? No. YouTuber? Yes. Minecraft series? No. Older than 18? Yes I am. Married to a man? Thank fuck I'm not. Write songs? No. Gaming channel? No. Brother or sister? Don't know. I know, but... No, I don't live in America. Yes, I live in Britain. No, I don't have blonde hair. I'm not dating a YouTuber. Give it a sec, it's thinking. Come on, Akinator. Is your character white? Yes. As you can see on this screen, I'm very white. Oh, accidentally. One sec. That bit messed up with my flow. Not capture. There we go. Wear makeup, yes. Part of the LGBT community, yes. Famous spin world leaders, like, I sure hope not. Redhead, no. Dated someone famous, no. Disabled in any way, yes. Tourette's, no. Over 27, nope. No, that's not me. Need glasses, yes. Swear words, yes. Disability, yes. Frequently change hair colour, no. Artistic skill, no. Gay, yes. Manchester, no. Minecraft? No. Wait, no. Minecraft. I'll put don't know because I don't play it on stream, but I play it. Come on. Come on, Akinator. You got this. Release a solo song? No. Connected to Rainbows? No. An actor? Probably, because I am, but not anymore. In the age range of 15 to 20? No. Present educational films? No. Chubby? No. Author? No. Why do I think on that one? No, I'm not. Appear without a shirt? What? I turned on sensitive content filter. No. Blonde? No. From YouTube? Yes. Less than 25 years old? Yes. Hide their face? No. Lesbian? Yes. No, I'm not on those. Married? No. Associated with comedy? Probably? British? Yes. No. Continue? Yeah. Live with their parents? No. Act? Probably? Into politics? Don't know. I don't talk about them on the stream, but I haven't got gaming set up. I don't sing on stage. I am a student. Linked with school? No. Wear glasses? Yes. Blackhead? Yes. Come from England? Yes. You switched on TV? Yes. Come on. No! Stop. I turned on sensitive content filter. What the fuck? No. No. Over 100,000 followers? No. Not a meme. No. 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 Yes. Evil role? No. No, I'm not in a TV series. Don't live with my father. How much of this, like, come on, surely. I know if I get it right, if it gets it wrong, then I put it in, then I do it again, then it gets it right. But I want to see if I can get it first. No, I'm not. I'm on TikTok. I'm not in a relationship. Yeah, I wear lipstick. I'm not linked to reaction videos. Do I have over 25k? Spikes? No. Nope. So it just says it's got it right. It got it wrong. It didn't do anything anyway, but alright. Yeah, I'm a woman. Yes, I'm real. I don't know each other. I don't know myself very well now. I am probably a singer. I don't sing on stage though. I'm a YouTuber. I am older than 18. I don't have a gaming channel. Not married to a man. I don't live with a sister. I don't live in America. I live in Britain. Don't have blonde hair. I don't know why it was so mean. It was like the way it was like I can't show you this, so I'm just gonna assume I got it right. Is your character white? Yes. Oh, yeah. Not dating a YouTuber. Come on. I don't live with my parents. I'm not a man. No. Yes. Not connected to rainbows. Really? Not red-haired. Yes, I'm trans. No. Probably. Well, I was in the past. I don't present educational films. I'm not Abigail Thorne. Just because I'm transgender and I'm probably an actor doesn't mean I'm Abigail Thorne. I'm not over 27. I do sing. I don't have a great artistic skill. Not associated with Batman. Technically I have more than one channel. Not associated with sleep. Not famous for being widely disliked, I hope not anyway. Connected with cats. Yeah? Don't have links with Brian. Don't have multiple tattoos. I don't know Zoe Sugg. Don't have more than 500 followers on Twitch. But maybe if you follow, we can get there. W plug. That was such a good plug. Why did it restart? Do I have more than 500 followers on Twitch? No. But if you all like and subscribe, maybe. No, I'm kidding. No. I'm from YouTube. I'm associated with comedy. I don't produce electricity. I don't have brown hair. I'm not animated. I don't wear a wig. Oh. Let's change the music. No, this is funny. This is funny. I was just like, you know what? My number one viewer, you gotta have a sub. Yeah, I'm British. I'm not blonde. I don't have my face. I don't make parodies. I don't have a gaming setup. I still sing. I don't use an instrument. Hello. Hi, Nico. Hi, Nico. You're stealing your own money. I get paid half. I technically get paid 50% of it. Thank you, Hiccup, a lot for the sub. Link to a cat, probably. Do you like the sub badge? Do you like the sub badge? I made it myself. Discuss mental health? Not really. From Sheffield? No. Live in a flat. Technically, student of comm. I have dark hair. I don't own a kitten. Not a band. Thank you. I made it myself. I'm not an equestrian. I used to be. Law drop. I used to ride horses. I don't have any pets here, but I have some at home. From Prison Break, no? Obsessed with pink. I don't know. I don't play stringed instruments. Yes, I need glasses. Not linked to beauty business. Don't have YouTube, it's all about play button. I don't know if I have a cat. Well, I don't know if I've said I've had a cat. Well, I practice now, but I am a girl. Yes, I wear glasses. You asked that. I'm disabled. I haven't played an evil role. I have a disability, yes. I'm not in a TV series. I'm not linked with drugs. Come on. What? That's a weird question to ask. Linked with video games? No. Given birth? No. Author? No. No. Oh, I'm not listed. Hiccup. Lot. Oh, they got rid of the disabled lesbian bit. They got rid of the disabled lesbian. They just made me streamer. Is this homophobic? I want to see how many times it's been played. Does that mean I have to do the whole game again? Character. Yes, I'm a woman. Yes, I'm a YouTuber. No, I don't live in America. I'm not Indian. Yes, I live in Britain. Yes, I'm older than 18. No, I don't have any children. No, I don't have blonde hair. No, I don't. I haven't built a house in Minecraft. Well, I have, but I'm not white. Well, yeah, I'm white even. I'm not dating a YouTuber. Yes, I wear glasses. It's gonna get it really quickly now because I just played me. I'm not associated with Jacksepticeye. I need to turn on the fan. Give it a sec. To turn on. I don't live with my parents. I don't have a gaming channel. Part of the LGBT community. Transgender. No. I am an actor, yes, technically. Yes, I'm disabled. Yes, I have a disability. No, I don't have great artistic skill. Oh, I changed the photo, but it's not uploaded. Who's played me? It was on 20 last time I checked. That means someone's played me another 2 times. Oh, see, it was last played like a minute ago. Oh, okay, it's under validation, that's fine. That was a movie. There we go. How much? Let's see. Oh my god, my power bank is still like full. This is like... I have what? I was about to say I have 1 subscriber, what did I miss? And I realised, oh, it's because I gifted a sub. I know. Here's my other one. Look, it's got a screen. Wait, give it a sec. It's got a screen, wait. It won't focus. Come on. Oh, it's not focusing. But it's got a screen, trust me, take my word for it. It's... I want it to be colder, it's too warm still. It's gonna drop temperature soon. It's gonna really drop in temperature soon. It's gonna be like... I think it's gonna drop to like minus temperature soon. Yeah, it's gonna snow here. It's gonna snow here too. I was like, does that dox me? No, I mean if it's snowing in Brighton, it's the same. You've never... You live in a place where it doesn't really snow. But that's such a weird thought. It's like... Snow was such like a... What's it called? Snow was such like a... What's the word? Fundamental part of my childhood. It's a weird thing that people have just not seen snow. I'm excited for you. I'm excited. I hope you really enjoy the snow. It's... I love snow. Wait, how do I wanted to do this earlier, like for the bit. Because of how shit the quality of the... What's it called? the quality of the other camera is. It's like, I wanted to add like a black and white filter, but I don't have to do that. Luma key? I just got deleted from existence. Do you have go buy baked good and save your money? Save it, save it, save it. Then you can get a sweet treat when the snow happens. You can get like a nice sweet treat, like a warm like cup of something. Hi, Chloe. Chloe. Hi. It's really cold now. I turned on the air conditioning because I can't open the window. Really. See, Hiccup is single. I know, I'm like giving money advice. Well, I'm not a financial advisor, and nor do I have a degree in finance. I cannot give financial advice. Put that disclaimer out the way. And while I'm here, I am not a lawyer. I cannot give legal advice. Second disclaimer. Thank you! Thank you! Thank you! Thank you, Go. I'm just so happy to see everyone. I'm like, whee! I had to turn my radiator off. Yeah, I can't really open the window. Well, I can, but it's a bit temperamental. So I've just got it on like. There we go. I turned it on for a bit, so it like takes all the heat out of the room. And now I can hear myself think. The windows, yeah, they're a bit weird. I can't wait for it to be minus temperatures. It's gonna be like... I'm really excited for the live event. I want to go to it so bad. Like the live event in Brighton that he's talking about on stream. Not that we talk off stream. Like, Max's live event. Wait, I thought he was doing a live event. Yeah. I hope you can go, Nico. Like, I hope you, like, win the lottery. No, don't gamble, actually. I meant, like, I hope you land a really well-paying job. I don't want to promote gambling. I want to go by that. No! It needs to be like an oomph meetup. Oomph-chella. It was oomph-chella up in here earlier. It's like half the people who went to the first one were here. Well, not half. That'd be 200 people. Well, 100 people, but... I meant loads of our oomps that came. Like, Maddie was here. Loads of other people. I know, it's exciting! It's groovy. This is like... What happened to my power bank with a power bank with a power bank with a power bank? I'm asking the real questions here. I'm not going to do that though. Wait, no, I need to cover the brand so it doesn't look unsponsored. What did you do? Are you okay? Nico? Oh wait, Sweden Streamer Award. What time is that? What time? I could open them on stream. Shall I do it on stream? Or should I not do it on stream? I'm just like, ooh, I can. Ooh, I think that'll be my longest stream yet because I went live at. I know it's not. I think my longest stream was like a couple hours. I can do my nominations on stream. I think. Well, if I log in first. Streamer awards. Wait. You said nominations. Didn't you? You said not. You said nominations. Oh, they get announced, yeah. Wait. Did we get to vote today? Did we get to vote on who... on the nominations? Vote on those nominations? Or do we just find out who got it? That'd be awesome if we can. I don't want to go to... I'm not going to America this time, I'm afraid. Oh wait, it's live then, isn't it? It gets... They announce it after the stream. Oh. The stream is in an hour. Yeah, I... Unless I'm going live for like 9 hours today, no. Maybe I go live for a bit more. I feel like I've still got a bit of stream in me, you know? Because 2 hours and a half doesn't sound bad. Maybe if I stop at 7:30. $7:30 sounds good. That would be quite a good stream. Or do I do like 5 billion hours for my stream anniversary? Huh? Does that mean I'm technically... Does that mean I'm technically... Because I gifted myself earlier. Does that mean I'm technically closer to payout? Because... Maybe I'm just overthinking it. I'm gifting myself to payout. I haven't actually got payout in the year of streaming. Because I haven't streamed enough. Streamed. I said streamed. I said streamed. Oops. Streamed sounds better than streamed. That's what I'm saying. I've got the Spellbound Smiths poster behind me. Pung, yeah. At Nico. Yeah, you've been pung. Pung. I pung someone, yeah. I streamed. We are making our own words. Cool, like, Shakespeare made his own words, why can't I? Is it because I'm a woman? Is it because I'm a woman and they don't want women making words? Why can't I say stremped? At Oxford Dictionary. At stremped. Technically it's not even a new word added. It's just the past participle, I think. I don't know, I don't know English. At dip. At dip. Can you tell me, is it the past participle? Would strength be the past participle? I don't know. Dip, say me dip. There's also Google, but I don't think that's right. I don't know. Strempt isn't a word, so I'll be like, what do you mean? Do you mean streamed? You just got pung. Where? You got pung. Where did you get pung? Oh. I'm on a new med. I'm on a new med now. I don't know if I talked about that. I'm on a different antidepressant. I changed. Yeah. I can show you. I think I can show. I don't think it'll be against TOS. Now look. There it is. It's really hard to focus. I'd have to manual focus it, and I don't want to do that. It's blue and yellow. Blue and yellow? Yeah, blue and yellow. Which is a bit odd. But it's like an orangey yellow. Like a greeny orangey yellow. It's a weird yellow. Greeny orangey yellow. That's very right name for that. Blue. Wait, I can do that. Will my passport expire? No, but you'll get a lovely new blue passport. Like that. Here we go, off the rails. Oh, it's actually singing. Don't you know, it's time to raise ourselves. It's freedom like you never know. Don't need bags or pass. What will be the end of us? You will sing my hat is off to you. We'll zoom all the way to the moon from this great wide wacky world. Jump with me, grab coins with me, oh yeah. It's time to jump up in the air. Jump up and we'll be scared. Jump up in the air, we'll fly away. Oh, the other magnet's up there. Never mind, I can't get that. My arm's not long enough. This music's very dramatic. Whoa, followed you. Thank you, Liz. Oh, Lizzie? Liz W? Liz W? Lizzie? Sorry if I mispronounced it. If you would like me to change it, please do say how you pronounce it. I think it's Lizzo, Lizzie W. I'm trying. Wait! Oh, I accidentally pinned that. Oops. How do I unpin it? There you go, unpinned it. Lizzie. Wait, are you the Liz? Are you the Liz I know? Are you a different Liz? I'm bad at usernames sometimes. Pause. Yeah, you are. Okay. I was like, your username looks really familiar. I remember that. Good old France. That was a while ago. That was a long, like, that was like 3 years ago, I think. No, 2 years ago. My bad. I'm bad at maths. I've still got 21,000 bitrate, and I don't know how. Good old 21,000 bit. That's stupid. I don't know what am I doing? I guess I'm streaming in 2K. Yeah, I stream in 2K, Chloe. I think I'm the only person to do that. I don't know why. It's great. Your ad's about to start. I'll snooze it for 5 minutes. Wait, how do I stream in 2K? Or how do I have 21,000 bitrate? Pause. Lads, I know, I paused it. Or I can run it now, it's up to you. Imagine having ads. Nico. I was just like, the urge to give everyone in this stream an a sub. I should do it. No, I can't do that. I can't afford it. Oh yeah. No, I won't do it, don't worry. Whoa, my FPS just dropped. That's fine. I've dropped 0 frames, guys. First... You got the OG privileges? Yeah, no. I think Chloe... Has Chloe been following longer than you? Chloe's been following since 7th of September. Nico has been following since the 14th of October. Someone here earlier followed me because they found me funny in the chat I modded for, and they've been following for 3 years. Which is really funny because I haven't been streaming that long. They said they followed on the off chance I streamed. They said they followed it on the off chance I would stream in the future, and I did. So they locked out. They got the early draw. I know. I'm so happy. I miss streaming so much, but I was always like, I want to stream today, but now it's too late. Like, when I wanted to stream, it was like too late in the day. Like, I was like, oh, it's 8 o'clock. I really want to stream, but I shouldn't if it's late. But then I was like, today, you know what? I am going to stream. I was like, I'm putting myself to this. I will stream, and I planned it, and now I'm alive. That's okay. Bye for now, Nico. Bye. I'm modding Discord while live. No, I shouldn't do that. Well, modding is putting it harshly. I was looking at messages. Technically, it's modding, I guess, if I'm looking at it in the server mod for. What's alerts? I don't know what half these things do. It's weird to think, like, I've been at... This is technically my affiliate anniversary, I think. I believe, anyway. I think it's my affiliate anniversary? It's really hard to tell. There's not really anything that's there. It doesn't always say. Featured events. Oh no, this is my affiliate anniversary. I started streaming a week ago, last year. Which is a weird thought. It's like, I've been doing this. Well, doing this for a year now. It's like, that's like me clocking into 4 shifts and being like, I've been here for a year. No, I haven't. I've been here for 4 days. Realistically, I've only done like 30 streams. Because I have a lot going on. I haven't got enough, and I don't really, like, have enough energy to stream every day, realistically. I need more music. Why is there, like, I need more suggestions for, like, for stream music. I've only got a very small playlist at the minute. I think I picked and chose out a Max's stream playlist. Because I was like, he's already done the work for me. It's... Oh my god, it's 7:05. What is... Well, it's 1905 actually. I lied. I got myself an Akinator earlier on stream. They removed disabled lesbian streamer from my description on an Akinator and just put streamer. It's like, am I not allowed to be a disabled lesbian streamer? Do I have to just be streamer? Boring. I should be allowed to be a disabled lesbian streamer if I want. Then again, I guess I assume people don't add themselves. I don't think... Did I add myself? I don't remember adding myself. No, I didn't add myself. Which means someone added me. Which is weird, but cool. Which is weird that someone wants to add me, I meant. Have I got any notification? It says Streamiversary up here. But it was my affiliate versary. I don't know what. Yo. Hi, Mars. Hi. Hi. No, I don't want this one. This one? Yeah, that's good. And then something really dramatic happened, and I was no. It's like I've been like Pavloved into like feeling a certain way because of the music Max puts on at certain points in the stream. It's like Pavlov's dog, but like for stream music. They need to do a study into this. It's like emotional music, like like he'll just use music at different points, and it's like, but now I feel like something's gonna happen. Or like something exciting's gonna happen, and it's like, no. I'm just talking. This is day 54 of me in the woods. I hope we don't find anything scary. Fuck, there's a bear there! There's a bear there! Let's run! Well, I can't run, but... Wait. That doesn't work. I was gonna see if it like made a click sound loud enough to be heard, but it didn't. It's got 100% this one. How much has the other one got? 90%. I've been using that one for like hours as well. That's pretty good. I guess it's not really doing that much. How hot is my phone? It's quite warm, but I love yapping. I love yapping. There we go. Trying to get like comfy. W yap. I need to like find more things I should do on stream, like stream ideas, you know? I need more stream ideas. Like, what should I do on stream? Because I can't draw very well. I can only yap. My skill is yapping. I can't draw. I can sort of sing. I did karaoke segment earlier. It's Minecraft, but... Oh wait, I can take one of my meds now. Is it this one? Yes. You can't show taking meds on stream, apparently. Or at least, maybe some people don't like it. Some people don't like showing it. But I know people usually hide the mic when they do it. I don't know why. I'm sure you can show it on stream, but I follow the curve. It's always weird, like when I went to TwitchCon last year, I got like the affiliate gift, and it's like, why have I got this? I guess because I'm an affiliate, sure, but like, why me? Like, I don't feel like famous enough to do that. It's like imposter syndrome. Me going in the partner lounge when I become partner. Say I become partner if I become partner. We go in the partner lands if I become partner. They do not know I do not belong here. I love my Star by Spinch poster. Bit creased. That's kind of like, it's stretched. Well, it's not stretched really. It's like, not stretched enough, I meant. Low-key, I'm kind of hungry. But I don't really want to end. Oh my god. You can tell it's warm in here. I'm like, my cheeks are all red. Oh. Was that another ad? Oh, it's another ad. Sorry, Chloe. Thank you for watching the ads. How much, like, do I actually get any money off ads? I probably do, but I wish I could just, I want to disable all ads. But you have to be like partner to disable ads, which is ridiculous. I get 30% on my, I get 30, never mind. No, I get 5%, 55%, never mind. My bad, I freaked out. I'm just like nosing around in my statistics. Guys, I wonder what statistics there are. Have I been offered any sponsorships? No. It'd be very funny if I was. Imagine like Hiccup with a sponsored stream, that'd be funny. Like, my ass should not be getting sponsorships. Wait, what was I doing? Loki, I am getting EP now. Who is anyone live? I could raid Ross. Yeah, I think I need to eat, sorry. Thank you for watching the stream. I hope you have... What's that? Let me get the name. Flash raid. Oh. Did that work? Yeah, I did. I hope you all have a lovely day. Thank you for watching stream. That was awesome of you. Good night. Bye.